Welcome to Don't Repeat What Mommy Says.
Welcome back.
I am Jennifer. This is my daughter Lauren. And I wanted to tell you about a conversation I heard at work because I work with a bunch of men.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy was complaining about his wife getting fat. So he was like, he's not really attracted to her anymore. She's gotten really fat. All she does is eat all the time. She's got her snack drawer. And then the other guys are like, yeah, that's not cool, whatever. And then he was like, I'm worried about her health. And they're like, yeah, you got to put her on a diet. And yeah. And,
What the
and
hell?
like all the guys were like really just kind of ripping on this woman. And then they were like in the guise of, well, you need to make her healthy. Like this isn't good for her health. Like they're just trying to help her out. Right. Wait a
Yeah.
minute. It wasn't a guy that said that. It was a woman that said it, actually.
Hmm.
And it was other women who were like, that's not good for him. You need to put him on a diet. But yeah,
Yeah. So let's talk about the double standards.
let us talk about the double standard.
Because we've talked about the social media groups before, and I'm not pooping on them, um, but it happens a lot. Women will complain about something, and I think if you think about it with the roles reversed, you're going to get really heated thinking, I can't believe a man would say that.
Right. What a dick saying he's not attracted to his wife anymore.
Yeah.
Well, you're kind of a dick saying you're not attracted to your husband anymore. Did you marry him just for. Okay, look, I am getting old. My husband and I, we are beautiful people. We started out beautiful people, but we are getting old and we are not so beautiful anymore. We still look pretty good for our age, but come on, we do not look the way that we did before. And by the time we die, we are both going to look horrible because that's what happens. Your body breaks down, you get old, you don't look good anymore. Looks are not going to be there for the rest of your life. So if you married somebody for their physical appearance, I hate to break it to you, but your marriage is really going to suck at some point because that's not going to last. So your attraction to your partner shouldn't be their physical appearance. Not like, do I want a 500-pound man climbing on top of me? Absolutely not. But if your husband got a little bit chubby, okay, that's okay.
Well, and it's okay to worry about your spouse's health
Absolutely.
when they're making unhealthy life choices.
Absolutely.
We've said it before, and I hate to, continue beating this dead horse like it has suffered enough, but you cannot make decisions for somebody else. You cannot dictate how another person will behave. I don't care how much you try. So you can be concerned about your spouse's health, and I think that's a conversation you should have with them, not with strangers on the internet. And if they poo poo it and they don't want to do it, you can't force them to do anything.
Okay. So my husband did not adopt a healthy lifestyle when I did. I do not have chronic health conditions. My husband did develop them. I understand the worry. Yes, I worried about my husband. Do you think if I had nagged him, tried to put him on a diet, like how you are not his mother? You do not get to put your husband on a diet. You cannot do that. And if you do that, he is going to eat that shit when you are not around.
Now, one thing you can do is you can refuse to enable the behavior.
Absolutely.
So if you're the one who does the primary grocery shopping, you do
I
not
just
have
like totally
you phased out. So if you're the one who primarily goes shopping, don't buy the ho hos if he's got a problem. Don't make the chocolate cake. Don't encourage it. You can make healthier
Lauren
swaps.
remembers when our eating habits were much different. I ate very healthy, and I did not make him eat the dinners that I made because he wouldn't have liked it. And that's, come on, that's not a sustainable lifestyle. If you're eating stuff that you don't like, you're not going to keep that up anyway. But I didn't buy the snack food. He did still eat the snack food. He went and bought the snack food, but I didn't make it convenient for him. You know, I didn't really want him to eat it, but I didn't forbid him to eat it either. I just didn't buy it.
There's a difference between refusing to enable bad behavior and dictating somebody else's behavior. I think is important.
But what I didn't do is treat him physically different.
No.
I mean, we were still very lovey-dovey. I still told him I thought he was attractive. I still did all that because remember this, ladies, most people after a baby, and since most people watching this are moms, put on some weight. I don't know if your husband treated you like, well, you need to go on a diet and you need to, I don't know if he did that. Mine did not. But had he, I don't think that would have spurned me to eat better or whatever. It would have just made me feel bad about myself. Do you want your husband to feel bad about himself? Like, is that a goal? Because that's what you're doing.
Yeah. And I mean,
And how embarrassing. How would you feel if you knew that your husband went and told other people that he's not attracted to you anymore? And let me tell you what. Am I more attracted to my husband when he's not really heavy than when he is? Yes. But was I unattracted to him? No. I love him as a whole person. I was worried about his health. I was worried that he would not, you know, live to an old age to help me raise our children and see our grandchildren and all of those things. So, what did I do, Lauren? Do you even know?
not really.
Yeah, basically, I modeled healthy behavior. I kept eating healthy. I kept working out. I didn't nag him. I did not make him feel unattractive. I did have a conversation with him when the chronic illnesses arose because of his lifestyle that I was concerned about him not living, you know, as long as he could have. So I did voice those concerns. He got very rebellious because he was really pissed that I even brought that up and started eating crappier. So I was like, I mean, you know, if that's what you want to do, that's fine. He's like, you don't love me anymore. I'm like, I love you. I'm still attracted to you, whatever. If that's what you want to do, I am concerned, you know, but I just kept doing my thing. And I don't want to say I didn't worry about him because of course I was worried about him. But I was like, you know what? This is what he's choosing. He is a grown man. This is what he can do. And so I left it alone. I said my piece. He knew how I felt. And then I think it was really he didn't start with a healthy lifestyle until he became a grandpa. Because he started worrying that he wasn't going to be alive for much of his grandchildren's lives. And so he started doing better on his own. It wasn't up to me, you know?
Well, and I think there's a lot of double standards that you see in marriages. And I've seen women talking about some of them. Like, oh, if women behaved how men did, like, sorry, can't watch the game because I have to babysit the kids. So, like, I get the frustration with the double standards there, too. I'm not saying
But two wrongs don't make a right.
two wrongs don't make a right. And from my perspective, I am the wife in the situation. I can't change his behavior. I can only change my own. So I can be pissed about the double standards all day, but it's not any good if I'm perpetuating them too.
But again, I've talked about the attitude. And the problem is you go on social media or go to a girlfriend or whatever, and they start riding that train with you. By the time you're done with that conversation, you are convinced that you are completely justified in trying to run this man's life. You are not his mom, remember. And remember this too. No man wants to sleep with his mom. And if he does, you probably shouldn't be married to him. Icky caca. Okay? So you're going to kill the intimacy in your marriage because now you're acting like his mother, not his wife, not his helpmate, not his supporter. Like you are supposed to be his biggest cheerleader, and all you're doing is telling him everything that he's doing wrong.
Well, and that's the other thing. I hear it all the time, specifically with men who work. And don't get me wrong, I've had the complaint. I still have the complaint. He works too much. He never helps out around the house. He's never doing this. He's never doing that. It's the cyclical thinking of all the wrongs and letting that shit build up and being pissed about it. And not taking a second to recognize what is he doing right. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean. And I just think that women, especially a bunch of women getting together, will help you justify your behavior. And what I don't see in any of these conversations, or many of them, is women looking at their role in what is going on. Because I hate to break it to you, sweetheart, you're not perfect. You know, he probably has some complaints that he's not voicing. And you know what? I actually do work with a lot of men, and I don't hear them complain about their wives very much. But I do hear women complaining about their husbands an awful lot. Don't, come on, man.
Well, and I think it's easy to let that resentment build. And I think things in a marriage are always going to kind of change. So right now, like where we're at in our marriage, my husband's working 12-hour days. So I've taken over a lot of the domestic duties because I'm not working. So for us right now, that works. But if things were to change, that would be a...
It totally disappeared.
You're
I'm
gone.
still here.
She's still here. She's just out of frame.
I'm trying to put my sweater on. Okay.
That would be something that would be renegotiated. Because we talked about that. Like, the idea that, like, I don't... How did we word it? With the men not helping around the house and shit.
Oh, okay. So, like, my husband doesn't clean the bathroom, and he's not going to clean the bathroom. And he did one time when my brain got really bad and he thought I was going to die. So, like, me almost dying would make him clean the bathroom because he knew it would make me happy. My brain's okay now, so he does not clean the bathroom. I know this about my husband, but guess what I'm not going to do? I'm not going to mow the lawn, and I'm not going to change a tire. I know how to do both.
Yeah.
Because I didn't get married to do that. Well, in his world, he didn't get married to clean a bathroom. And to be fair, when he wasn't married, he didn't clean the bathroom because he thought flushing made it clean, okay?
Yeah, the water cleans the toilet when you flush.
Yeah, it's self-cleaning. You know what I mean? So, yeah, there are complaints either way, and they probably have complaints too. If you have a lack of communication, you can put all of that on your husband, but there's two people in that marriage, okay? So you're probably part of it.
Well, and one thing I've seen shit on a lot lately are the more, traditional marriage roles.
Okay.
I see that shit on all the time, and I know there's the whole, like, online trad wife trend that people are salty about because these women are kind of taking it to a weird extreme.
Yeah.
But
I've
yeah,
seen that.
we've seen some.
We've seen some stuff.
I'm not calling anybody out. If it works for you and your spouse, great. But, like, my husband and I do have a pretty, like, traditional marriage setup. He goes to work. He does, yard work, mechanics. He fixes the house. I, take care of the kids and do the dishes and clean. And granted, I'm a really shitty housekeeper, but I try. But, so, how would you feel if you were the one handling all this shit and then your spouse came and criticized you because you aren't doing enough because you should also be doing something that's normally a thing they do?
I mean, I'm not saying that women don't have legitimate complaints because we do need time off. And we never feel like we can take time off. And I don't know if in your marriage you're putting that on yourself because sometimes we do that to ourselves. Like we just really don't feel like we can. And it is possible that if you talk to your husband in a mature way, without blaming it and without telling him what a piece of crap he is because he doesn't do this and you shouldn't have to tell him to do this or that. If I needed a break when my kids were little, I literally put the kids on his lap and I'm like, yeah, I'm done.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because I was done. Like I was just done. And then my husband would be like, oh, damn. Okay. All right, baby, go take a bath or whatever you need to do. So sometimes it might be us. Sometimes they just think that they're entitled to all of these things. And it's not right for him to think that he's entitled to never take care of the children or stuff like that. But if you come to him in a mature manner and just say, hey, like this situation we have going on isn't working for me because of this. What can we do to fix this? It's a lot nicer than you never do this and I always do that. I mean, just again, the conversation we had at the beginning of the show, if your husband was talking about you like that with his friends, which obviously you wouldn't know about, but if you did, would you be happy about that? No, you wouldn't. So treat him the way that you want to be treated. Somebody has to come to the table with some emotional maturity before things are going to change. And that somebody is probably going to be you. Is that fair? No, it's not fair. It's just the way it is. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess what we're saying is, like, I don't blame you for the attitude. I've had it myself. I've had the cyclical thinking. I've had the days where I'm like, this man doesn't do shit. I do everything and he doesn't understand that he gets off of work and he can sit in his easy chair for, however long. And I'm on 24/7. I mean, and that is the plight of every mom everywhere. And it's always been, it's always going to be. I get it. I understand that, but he isn't your enemy. So maybe if you change the way you go at him If instead of going at him, present it as a problem that you can fix together, maybe he would be like, "Oh, baby, okay, maybe I will do that." Maybe. I don't know. Maybe your husband is a complete wanker. I'm not sure, but give it a try.
Wanker.
Well, he might be. There are guys out there that are just horrible people, and that is what it is. But there's women out there that are horrible people too. But most men, I don't think are horrible people. Most husbands, I think, do want to make their wives happy, and don't you want to get back to where you were at the beginning? When you guys were in love and everything was great, and you wanted to spend time together. I think no man wants to walk into a house where he feels disrespected.
Well, and let's talk about that a little bit. The change in marriage. So there's a reason they call it the honeymoon phase when you're in love and there's a lot of passion and infatuation and you want to be all over each other. And that doesn't last. It's not sustainable. So one thing I get really peeved about seeing, and I've seen it so often, is about the you know, wanting to end a marriage essentially because you're bored. You took vows. You made a commitment. That is the point of marrying someone. Is you are making a commitment that even in the times where things suck, you're supposed to try to work it out together.
Here's the thing. Marriage is boring by and large if you have a pretty good marriage going on.
Yeah.
If there's a lot going on and there's like constant excitement and drama and this and that, it's probably a really tumultuous marriage. So, life in general is a whole lot of monotony broken up by some really fun times and some really woeful times and stuff like that. Marriage is the same way, you know? And you don't always look, I have been married for a long time. It is going on 29 years. I didn't even like my husband for like 5 years. You know what I mean? Like, I know it sounds really shitty to say, but it's true. Like, I didn't even like him. Like, I really didn't, but I was still married to him. I still did my thing. I still, you know what I mean? I loved him. I still love him. And I like him again, but it comes in waves. Like you're taking two people who were raised in different environments, putting them in one house, making one unit, and then you're adding kids. It's rough.
Well, so we'll be married in December. It'll be 7 years. Um, which feels like a long time thinking about it. Like it doesn't feel like it was that long ago that we got married, but a lot of marriage is boring, and especially when you're spending all day together. Like I know for some people it works. Like they can live together, work together, go do hobbies together, and they're just
I do not want to do a hobby with your dad.
oh my god. So my husband,
I mean, I love him, but Jesus, no.
we didn't see each other for 2 months, and then we got engaged. Then I didn't see him for another month until we got married. We hung out for 2 days after the wedding, and then I didn't see him for 2 more months because he was in the military. So we went like from the start of our marriage, we had very long stretches of time apart, and then throughout our marriage, like intermittently, like he went on an assignment in another state for a month, or he'd be gone like overnights, or he got the job he is in now, where he would be gone like 1 week every month for like 2 years. And it was coming up on the end of his training, and I remember looking at him and being like, so I need somewhere I can send you for about a week every month because I don't think I want to be around you that much. Like, we'll run out of things to talk about. It wasn't like a hateful thing. It was like we're so used to having the time apart that
Well, we
like
were too. For the first 10 years of our marriage, we worked different shifts.
yeah. So I mean, if you are feeling like you're in a rut in your marriage, maybe you need to do something else that's not about your marriage.
Take
Go
a little
do a
time
hobby
away.
for yourself. You know.
Well, and here's the thing: if something in your marriage isn't working for you, like you're really unhappy and you feel that resentment building up, you have a partner. You don't have your husband's not your enemy. He's not.
Right.
Go to him, but just don't go to him like both guns blazing right away. Maybe you can have a conversation where you can renegotiate some things, or maybe right now is a time where you're not liking your spouse very much. So maybe you need to just like go hang out with a friend or something.
Well, and quit bashing on these men on social media.
Oh my
Like,
God.
I
These
am
poor
just,
guys.
I'm so sick of seeing it. Like, women, there are a lot of things. There are a lot of crappy men. There are a lot of things that are legitimate grievances. But it's been taken to such an extreme, especially on social media, that, like, I feel bad for the men, and I find myself defending men all the time.
Yeah, and I don't think that's fair. I don't want to do that. But I mean, I really don't. Like
I don't either.
like I was married to an abusive man. Believe me, I know what a bad man can be. And I was pretty man-hatey after that. And I married a pretty good man after that. And he had to deal with my man-hatiness for like a couple of years, and he took it like a champ.
Yeah, he did.
Because I mean, I punished him for everything that my ex-husband did, and I feel like women as a society are punishing men, the men now, for the stuff men did in the past. Like the the solution to misogyny is not to reverse it.
Yeah.
That is not good for anybody. Misogyny sucked. It was terrible, and we don't need to reverse it to like what we're punishing these men for something a couple generations ago did.
Well,
Stop it.
and misogyny still sucks, and it still exists. And
Of course it does.
if that's what you're dealing with, like, absolutely call that shit out. But you don't need to hate on men for being men.
Right. Well, I mean, because I'm assuming you married a man because you love men. So,
Or you at least love that man.
right, and you're going to be with that man, presumably for a lifetime, unless you get divorced. But do you really want to like keep getting divorced because every time you're with a man, then they don't do what you want exactly when you want them to do it every time? You're just going to get divorced? Like that's, then maybe marriage is not for you.
I was going to say, if you can't acknowledge that it's not going to be lovey-dovey, amazing honeymoon all the time, and you just want to up and leave when you're bored, maybe just don't get married.
And let me tell you this, you are never justified in trying to control what somebody else does. Never.
Never.
I don't care what they're doing. There is no justification. And don't let the other women around you who tell you how bad he is and you need to get him into therapy and this and that convince you that you are in the right when you are trying to control what he is doing. You're wrong. And you're wasting your life. You are literally wasting your life. Instead of doing something to better yourself or to pursue a passion that you have or to just enjoy life, you are spending your waking hours worried about what somebody else is doing, what somebody else's choices are.
Yeah.
So, and then if your marriage doesn't work out, because if you're going to keep doing that, it's not going to work out. Then you're going to be like, wow, I wasted all this time in my life. Well, yeah, you did. And just remember, Jennifer told you that that's what you were doing.
Yeah, I mean, really. But I think there's just this, yeah, it's a lot of man-hatiness, and it's a lot
Of justification for shit behavior.
justification for shit behavior, and just the fickleness.
Oh my God.
Like, he's not your personal clown.
No.
You're not his personal clown either. Like, don't get me wrong. If,
No.
You know.
No.
There are things, that...
You just need to be you, and
Yeah.
you need to accept him for who he is. And if, like, the division of labor and stuff like that is not working for you because you're not getting any me time, then you need to talk about that with him. Come up with something. But he's not the enemy.
And it's okay to not want to do things your spouse is doing. Like,
Oh, for sure. God,
my
no.
husband just yesterday got sucked into a Bible study, and I was at church with him. I took the car and I left him there. Like, not in a mean way. Like, he got a ride home, but, like, I didn't sign up for that. I didn't want to be there, so I wasn't going to stay. I wouldn't expect him to stay
No.
and do some shit he didn't want to do just because I was there.
I wouldn't even ask my husband to do shit he doesn't want to do because I don't need him being a killjoy on my fun.
Well, right. So I think there's something to be said for breaking that codependent mindset.
Yes, be your own person.
Yeah, there's codependency is a
Like
problem.
people keep talking about, I'm a strong, independent woman, but then they don't want to do anything independently. You know what I mean? Like you're going to be like, you won't be a strong and independent woman anymore. If you make a sandwich for your husband, God knows that would be the worst thing in the world. But you have to do everything with him and he has to entertain you all the time. Or if you don't like something he's doing, then he has to stay home with you and be miserable too. It doesn't make any sense.
Well,
Like actually be strong, independent women.
and conforming to a traditional gender role doesn't mean you're not independent. Now, granted, you could argue I am not financially independent because I don't have a job that earns income. Like it is my husband's income that we share. But at the end of the day, in terms of what I do for myself and my free time, like I make independent choices.
Like I promise you, I'm very independent and we had pretty traditional gender roles. And then our life has changed now, and my husband has taken on a lot of stuff that I used to do because I work outside the home more now than I used to, and I'm tired. And, when you get to the point in your marriage where, like I said, I'm almost 29 years in, there does come a point where your husband kind of does read your mind and know, like, she really wants these dishes done because it makes her crazy when they're not done. And I can tell right now that that woman does not feel like doing dishes. I'm going to get up and do dishes. But in the beginning of marriage, no, there has to be communication.
Well, and I think I might have said it before, but if you are asking your husband to do something and he says, "Sure, I'll get to it," I always recommend ask with a time frame. So, hey, when this episode of your show's over, can you do X? So
But see,
you're not getting pissed, because I see a lot of women get mad about that. Like, I asked him to take the trash out. It was 2 hours later and he hadn't taken the trash out, so I did it myself. Like, in his
and
mind,
don't do it yourself.
don't do it yourself. No.
Don't ever do that. You don't do that.
You should see my kitchen, because trash is the one chore I like refuse to do unless my husband's not going to be home, because I'm like, it's like the one domestic chore, but I won't do it myself.
Mm-mm. If he agreed to do it, then he's going to do it.
Right, that's his task. He does it. I don't do it for him.
And I'm very lucky. If I ask my husband to do something, he will almost always jump up and do it right then, because that's just the kind of person he is. But let me tell you what, he's always been that kind of person. So if that's the kind of person you wanted, you should have married a person like my husband. Because you probably knew before you married him that he was not the guy that was going to jump right up, right? I mean,
Well, and that's my husband's not necessarily the jump right up and do it right away. He's usually working on something because he's a very busybody person. He doesn't like to not have a project.
Right.
But he will do it after he finishes whatever it is he's doing. So, like the one day I was telling her about, I came home, I had asked him to unload the dishwasher so that when I got home I could load it up. And I came home and he hadn't done it yet, and I walked in the door. He like ran to the kitchen to do it. I wasn't mad. Like, I knew he was working on something, but you know.
Yeah, just remember, he's not the enemy, and you will get better results if you come to him like a wife and not a mother.
And I think don't assume malintent where there isn't any.
And that's easy to do. And I mean, I do it too. Like, I will just assume my husband's being a butt twat, and he's and he doesn't even know. You know what I mean? Like, and I've done it before. And don't give him the silent treatment. Like, I gave my husband the silent treatment for a week once, and he thought it was like the best week of our marriage, because I was like, "Don't you know I'm mad at you?" And he's like, "You're mad for what?" And then he was like, "That was like a week ago." I'm like, "Right, I haven't talked to you in a week." And he's like, "I thought we were doing really good." So I will never make that mistake again. I will not let him have that kind of peace again. No, no.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm making funny of it, and some of it is funny, but again, just remember that marriage is work. Marriage is hard. If it wasn't hard, you wouldn't have to make vows. So, do you want to be right, or do you want to be happy? You do
Yeah.
not have to be right all the time. You know in the back of your mind you are.
Right.
Like, you know you are. He just hasn't seen it yet, and that's okay, because he's not you. So you can make a compromise, and just talk to your husband the way you want to be talked to. And you're not always going to be perfect at it, and neither is he. So give yourself and him some grace when the kind of talk that you're doing isn't productive. You can be the one in the middle of that to be like, "Honey, this is not productive. Let's come back to this later because we're heated."
Yeah.
And it's okay. And you know how they always say, "Don't let the sun go down on your wrath." Sometimes it's okay to let that sun go down, because maybe you need a night
I mean,
just to let it calm down.
and especially with really little kids, sometimes you just need to sleep. Like,
Right.
sometimes you're not even really mad. You're just tired.
Right.
So, yeah, it's okay to go to bed angry and work on it later.
It is. Just remember, if you're in the middle of a conversation with your husband and you start thinking to yourself, "Wow, I would not want my husband talking to me this way." Like, ask yourself that in the middle of a conversation with your husband. Am I speaking to my husband in a way that I would want to be spoken to?
Yeah.
If you are, then you're doing great. If not, then it might be time to table that discussion for now and come back to it later when you're a little less upset. Collect your thoughts. And I am not saying don't confront a man. Yes, confront, but do it in a loving way. Do it in a way where you're concise, where you're like offering solutions. Do you have any solutions to this problem, honey? Make it a team. Like try to make your marriage a team.
Hmm.
And then I think you won't be upset as much, number one. And number two, when those things do come up, you guys will get better and better about working as a team. It takes time, it takes effort, it takes so much effort, especially when you don't like him right now. And you
Yeah.
will have times where you don't like him. And guess what? He's got times he doesn't like you too.
Yeah. I mean, if he's smart, he might not tell you.
I don't think he'll tell you because I don't think they'd be that stupid. Would they be that stupid?
I think it would depend on the man.
Dad would not.
There's
No
only,
way.
like-
I don't think Dad would say something like that to me, but I know he thinks it. I can tell.
There was only like one time where Andy said something, and I mean, it led to a big fight, and it was stupid. But again, we were tired. We had a newborn.
Yeah, and that
You
is
know?
a rough time. That is a rough. The biggest fight my husband and I ever had was when she was a baby.
And that my husband and I biggest fight we ever had was our first baby.
And we
shortly
were
after he
we
was
were
born.
so tired, and there was a lot going on, and we were just really tired, and we had let resentment build up. And at that time in our marriage, we were not emotionally mature people, so we either didn't say anything and just sucked it up and moved on with life, and let's pretend we're happy, or it was a blow up where not nice things were said. We were not treating each other in a way that we wanted to be treated. Neither one of us really. Well, for I was at him like a mom. You need to do this and what was me because my life was difficult and his was cherries and sunshine and farting rainbows or whatever. And for him, he would just completely shut down and not deal with me at all. That is not healthy. But if that is going on in your marriage right now, please know that that is not going to be forever. But somebody has to make the effort to start being emotionally mature. One of you has to do it, and men don't listen to this podcast, so I can't talk to them.
Right.
So please be the person that goes, you know what? We're not enemies. Let's work on this together.
Yeah, I think really that's what it is. Be a team. You can't control other people, so lead by example.
Yeah, absolutely. Modeling behavior, I think, is really, really important.
And it works with kids too. So
Does,
it's
absolutely.
good advice. Um, yeah.
And probably just, when you find yourself in that rut, you don't really want to talk to people that are just going to ride the he's a butthole train with you because
Yeah.
it's not going to help.
Find people who can offer a little better perspective and who are going to be supportive of your marriage.
Yeah, it's really important in those times to have somebody who is cheerleading for your marriage when you no longer can be a cheerleader for your husband because you're just really pissed because he should have taken that baby so you could get a damn shower.
Yeah.
And he should have. I
He
mean,
should
I'm not
have, yeah.
disagreeing with you. He should have taken that baby so you could take a shower.
Yeah.
Like that was a dick move, but
But yeah,
that's
I
all
think
I got
that's
for
it.
now.
Boom. That's the show.
That's it.